We're going long format.
Long format.
It's about all that is long in my life. Anyway, innuendos aside, welcome
to another edition of
Studio Life. This is the longer format show, aside from our Is It Shit sort of flagship show. Flagship show. Yeah. Let's start with some news, Sean.
Let's start with some news. Well, first of all, the SSL UC1 plug-in controller that works with the SSL channel strips. I got it, I guess, 9 months, a year ago. Very happy with it, love it. But basically, up till now, it's just controlled SSL's channel strip plugins, which is great. That's all I needed to do. However, they have just announced at NAMM that there is a plugin coming for it next month in March, which is going to allow you to control pretty much anything you want with it. So it will come with a load of presets that will work with the rival SSL plugins. So it will work with the Brainworks one, it will work with the Universal Audio one. Out the box, it'll work with those other SSL plugins. That's going to please a lot of people.
So what is this, Vietnam? Birmingham.
Birmingham. No, this is out in America, NAMM. It's the big audio.
Yeah.
Let's announce all our new products. Get together.
We were going to go, but unfortunately it clashed with filming some Is It Shit. So
there you go.
So we never made it, did we?
No, you got to prioritise.
You got to prioritise.
But the fun thing about this plugin is that it comes with a piece of software that lets you map it to anything you like. And that's very cool.
What, anything?
Well, any plugin. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether that's something I will particularly do. I like the SSL channel strip plugins, but yeah, I'll probably map my favourite other channels to it so that I'll see. The workflow wise, that may or may not work. But I think it's an awesome thing for them to do. It's going to put them ahead of the game all of a sudden. And the coolest thing is, I think I read that it's free.
Well, that's very cool.
Anything
that's cool. Anything that's free is cool.
Anything that's free is cool. Can you tell we've been to the pub, do you think?
I think it might be showing slightly.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's very cool. Well done, SSL. We like that a lot. The only other bit of news, really, is that I've started a new service on my website doing consulting, which sounds a bit poncy, but basically, I get asked advice by so many people for so many different things. I'm like, do you know what? I should be earning some money out of that. So now, there's a go and have a look if you want to have a look. If you need some advice with management or dealing with agents, promoters, record labels, or maybe if you just think you're ready to take the next step and you don't know how to do that, get in touch and I'll point you in the right direction.
It's like a clinic. It's like you can go in with your problems, your concerns, your questions.
If you've got a funny itch, it's not that clinic.
It's not that kind of clinic.
Have a word with Dad. He's probably had one of them. Well, I'm just saying. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, that's news. So that must mean it's time for plug-in news.
And logo.
All that stuff. Last time it's got to be said, every time I announce the next section, you start talking without a gap. There's a really hard gap.
Yeah, well, okay, so gap.
Anyway, so this week, you'll be very excited to know, Dan, we're doing another top 5.
Oh my goodness. I've got a question.
Go on.
How many top 5s can there be?
That's a good question. This we've forgotten. This is episode 13. If we don't count the Ricky Wilde interview,
this is episode 13.
This is the one we should have missed out.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God, it's jinxed.
I was born on the 13th,
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
So,
whoa. Top 5 what? Top 5 what?
It's just, I don't care. It's just a top 5.
Such a professional. It's the top 5 surgical EQs. The kind of EQs you can seek and destroy problems with. Rather than sweetening things. It's something, there's an issue, we've got to find it and notch it and whatever. Surgical EQs. Okay, on you go.
Ready?
Yeah, ready.
In 5.
In at number 5, we have the Pulsar 8200.
Yeah.
Which some people might disagree with. It's modelled on the GML, the Massenburg EQ 8200. But the plugin does allow you to zero in quite to an extent where you can do some of that kind of stuff. And it's a beautiful sounding EQ with lots of extra features. I think it is possible to do that with it, and it's a very nice EQ.
Fabulous. In 4.
Number 4, This is going to surprise some people, I think. This is the TC Electronic Midas PEQ 3000, which has the little controller, which I've got just over there. I really like it. You can have, I think my standard EQ version of it I built, it has 12 bands where you can totally do anything. Mid-side or stereo, mono, whatever. You can zero into anything, find it, deal with it. Really nice.
Excellent stuff. Totally amazing.
Yeah.
In 3.
In at number 3, we have the Plug-in Alliance AMEC EQ250.
Yep.
Similar to the Pulsar, maybe more of a mastering, sweetening EQ, but it does have the possibility to narrow that Q down, find some stuff, very specifically go after it, deal with it. Can also work in mid-side. Really nice plugin.
No idea what you're talking about. In
at number 2, another one with a similar controversy angle. It's the SPL Iron from Plug-in Alliance. I love this thing. When I'm mastering, if I've got an issue, the SPL Iron will find that issue and deal with it. And I love there is no graphic representation, so you have to use your ears. It's amazing, can work in mid-side. It's also got the blue button you can push on each band that enables it to work in what's it called, proportional EQ mode, which is really good for finding issues.
No idea either, guys. So, which must mean, and with bated breath, in at number 1.
At number 1, I think it has to be the FabFilter Pro Q3. Personally, not a user, only because I use the TC Midas thing instead, which is very, very similar. But obviously everyone relies on the Pro Q3. It does pretty much any kind of EQ you could possibly want, but it's especially good at diving in and finding issues and dealing with them.
How many filter types are there, Sean?
Well, when we were looking at the Vertigo, whatever it was it the VSE or the VSM 3, 4, whatever it was the other day?
There was how many?
I think there was 12.
13.
Or 13 was it? Yeah.
And we got to 4.
Yeah, it's quite hard. How many can you name, Dan?
Pardon?
How many?
What, filters?
Yeah.
Coffee?
Shit.
Pool?
Have you got a shit filter? I don't think you have. If you had, we'd strap it there.
Right there. Yeah, no idea. Just amazing that there's 13 different kinds of filter.
There are many. There might be more than that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Comb
filter.
Yeah. Is that?
I mean, it's, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of.
Good stuff.
Anyway, that was plug-in news. That was our top 5, which Dan loves and I quite like. So
I
now
love a top 5.
We're moving on to Retro Talk. Rightio. So this week we've both picked a tune that we would like to discuss.
Yeah.
Dan, would you like to go first?
Well, I can do. Oddly enough, I mean, we talk about this quite a lot, and we used to talk about. We said we weren't going to mention this, but we used to talk about retro equipment. But we decided that we'd change that and we'd talk about old tunes and how they were produced and how they came together. And Sean and I have just been and had some lunch and a couple of pints, and we decided that it's interesting when you can tell stories about people that you've kind of worked with.
You told me off last time for explaining this again, and you're literally just explaining it again.
Yep.
Get on with it.
So, I've chosen Faithless, Insomnia. Which, of course, was written Maxi Jazz, Sister Bliss, Rollo. Rollo, obviously, Cheeky Records, and what have you. It was made in Rollo's shed, apparently.
Was it?
Yeah. And I worked as a tech for Sister Bliss. I used to look after and have all of her keyboards serviced once every 2 weeks when they went out of tune, when we were on tour and stopped working. But it's a classic house tune.
Yeah, it is.
So it was made in Rollo's shed, and it started off as an instrumental. I think as those of you out there that are electronic music producers, most things start as an instrumental. Until you find somebody that's got some sort of vocal or input for them. Apparently influenced by Justin. I can't read my own writing there. Influenced by Justin Lyon Rourke.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not somebody that I'm familiar with. And because it was so long, it was a nine minutes.
It's a long record. Do you know
Yeah.
what? I used to play this to my students when I was teaching at uni.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the first time I played it to them that I realised the hook, the dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun, that doesn't come in till about 2 minutes.
Well, that was apparently influenced by the dance group at the time. So that it was the build to get the energy, which is why it didn't get any radio play.
And it builds and it
until
builds.
Bill Padley did a 7-inch edit for radio, at which point it got picked up and
Yep.
got some radio play.
That makes sense.
However,
Yeah.
they were introduced to Maxi Jazz, who was a Buddhist gentleman. I mean, I was fortunate enough to meet and work with Maxi, but he was a Buddhist. But the first line of it is, "I only smoke weed when I need to." And similar to the Doors, I suppose, the BBC, they're saying, right, how about we have a different first line? How about, and I think I've written this down, "Deep in the bosom of the gentle night."
That's quite different.
It is quite different.
Quite
It doesn't
different
even
now.
rhyme, does it?
No.
But I only smoke weed when I need to, and I need to get some rest. Oh yes. And interestingly, Blissy, and it was, I feel very fortunate to work with these people, was known for using presets. And she'd write all of these phenomenal riffs,
Well, that's like a pizzicato string sound,
Yeah.
isn't it? And it's massive.
Yeah.
Big reverb on it.
Absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. And we were, like I say, fortunate enough to go. They ran a huge band touring live. Big rig, drummer, percussionist, bass player, guitarist. And very fortunate to have been
man,
part
that
of,
was awesome.
even though it's a very small and perhaps quite late chapter of the Faithless story. Very pleased and very proud to have been a part of it.
It's massive. I remember we did a gig with you once at Carfest, I think it was.
Yeah.
It's just enormous. That
Yeah,
sound.
yeah.
It's like when it starts, everyone smiles.
Yeah, well, they had a front of house engineer, and I worked with him.
He used the SSL, didn't he? Live desk. Yeah.
The SSL live desk, absolutely. Mark Kennedy.
Yeah,
and he's
beautiful.
come. Van Morrison, Robert Plant. I worked with him on Pendulum, and
I was very jealous that day because I got stuck using a Yamaha M7 CL.
Yeah, and they didn't patch your drum bus.
They didn't
out.
patch my drum bus out.
So the band started with no drums.
I was mortified.
Yes, I remember you being
and
quite,
Mark Kennedy was there with his SSL looking very smug. Yeah.
So just a great story. That, and of course, the other line in it was making mad love on the heath, pull my girl's tights off with my teeth.
Legend.
Legendary. But I've got to be honest. I thought shagging on heaths was a sort of.
I know what you're saying.
Well, you probably.
What are you saying?
Nothing. But yeah, very, very proud to have been part of that sort of insomnia story.
Yeah,
it's a great tune, and goes down in history.
Certainly does. Awesome.
What have you got for us?
What have I got? Okay, so this is a real reach back into my deep, distant past. When I was working at Matrix in 1990, there was a band that came in, and I remember quite a lot of the older engineers were really quite excited. These guys were loading their gear in. I didn't recognise any of them, but they all started to set up. Drummer started to set up, bass player, and this was weird. So the guitarist and the bass player didn't bring amps with them. They just walked into the control room with their guitars. Their amps were set up by their techs in the live room. They patched it. I've never seen that done before, so everything was patched through. So they sat and played in the control room. Just the drummer on his own was in the live room. Anyway, they were a band called Tackhead, and as I found out over the next few hours, A, they were an awesome bunch of guys who were really friendly, but B, they were probably the best musicians I've ever had the pleasure of being in the same room as, because on drums was Keith LeBlanc. Keith LeBlanc was the drummer in the Sugar Hill Gang. He played on Seal's album. He played in Apollo 440. I mean, the guy's a legend. The bass player was Doug Wimbish. Doug Wimbish was also in the Sugar Hill Gang, and between them, those two played on Grandmaster Flash's The Message and White Lines.
Wow.
Guitarist was Skip McDonald. If you've ever heard of Skip McDonald, you know that he's right up there with them. They had a vocalist come in around this time that they did this album called Bernard Fowler, who was amazing. They also had another member of the band who they referred to as their producer or mixologist, and it was Adrian Sherwood. Adrian Sherwood had a collective in the UK called the On You Sound System of his own, worked with a really good friend of mine, Alan Branch, brilliant engineer. We used to write for the same magazine together. They did a track with a guy called Gary Clayle called There Was Something Wrong with Human Nature. There was this whole movement of like dub, funk, sort of, and I think Tackhead were known as like industrial funk at the time. It was
industrial funk.
It was amazing. These black dudes playing incredibly syncopated, funky rock. It was just legendary. Anyway, they were recording this track called Dangerous Sex, and it didn't massively do very well commercially. But for me, the technical side of their playing and the way that they recorded and how good they were, it was just I honestly was blown away. I'd never heard anything like it. And this was June 1990, and as I say, it didn't massively do very well commercially, but I remember hearing it on TV quite a bit. It was doing the rounds. It just wasn't hitting, with the youth, I guess. Yeah. But as a band, if you go and listen to Tackhead's stuff from around 1990-91, it's incredible. It's a real lesson in, oh my God, a band can do what people have been programming computers to do for years and do it incredibly well. I met and got to know Keith LeBlanc maybe 7, 8, 9 years later. I was doing a drum show. It's like a drum clinic thing for drum and bass drummers at Camberwell Gardens, and Keith LeBlanc was there along with
Codish.
Andy Gangadin, Codish, all the big drummers at the time. They were all doing like displays with tracks and samples showing off their stuff. And at that point, I don't think I'd seen Keith for maybe 8 or 9 years. And I was standing outside waiting to go in. I think I got there quite early. It wasn't opening. I was recording it. I was there with a Yamaha O2R and an ADAT, I think. I can't remember.
Was not that the one you did with the new Roland?
No, this was before that.
Right.
This was before that. So this was I was recording this for the magazine, Computer Music, I think, or Rhythm Magazine. I might have been recording it for. And
beats working.
It does beat working.
That was their phrase, wasn't it? Rhythm Magazine.
It was, yeah. Ronan McDonald was the editor back then. But yeah, I remember recording all this stuff. It was really strange because I was stood outside waiting to go in. This guy came up to me. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm recording it." And he's like, who are you looking forward to working with the most? And I said, "Oh, Keith LeBlanc." So I haven't seen him for years. He's an amazing drummer. He's like, "Oh, he's good, isn't he?" Yeah. And then I went, "Anyway, who are you?" He went, "I'm Keith LeBlanc." I was like, "Sorry, mate, didn't recognise you."
That's amazing.
It was quite funny. Codish, by the way, wouldn't let me record him. He said his samples were copyright, and I wasn't allowed to record him. But yeah, that was an amazing.
I won't hear a word said against him.
No. He's an amazing drummer. Watching him play I went anyway. I'm like, I'm watching anyway. This is going to be epic. Yeah. It's got to be said they were all good, but in that era, you remember this drum and bass.
Yeah.
What live drummers were doing was sort of unbelievable.
I remember there was Kieran Pepper playing for Prodigy.
Yeah.
Amazing. Andy Gangadine, obviously now chasing status.
Yeah.
Codish with Pendulum, and before that Apollo 440.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some epic stuff going on.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. Dangerous Sex, Tackhead. Go and have a listen on YouTube. It's incredible.
Have you seen? I know this is a bit of a piss take, but have you people just do nothing?
Yeah, of course.
Complete tech heads. Oh yeah, complete tech heads.
Oh, here you go. This is a weird story connected to that. So about a year later, I was in a record shop and I wanted to buy Tackhead's new album.
Yeah.
It'd been a year since I worked with them. I didn't know them. I just thought, I'll go and get their new thing. I'd heard something on the radio or something. I thought, I'm going to go and buy their new album. I got into this record shop. I found it. I think, in fact, it wasn't the album. I think I bought a 12-inch of the single of their new album, and the song was called Video Head. Found it, picked it up, paid for it, took it home, put it on, and I'm like, this is weird. It was like, I don't know what this is. This can't be Tackhead. Anyway, it was a band that at that point no one had ever heard of, and it was a picture disc by this band that had been put in the wrong sleeve. And the reason it had been put in a Tackhead sleeve was that it had a big T in a circle on one side of the picture disc.
Yeah.
It was fucking Take That.
Was it?
It was their first single. I want to
What
picture this.
Can you remember what the first single was?
Once You've Tasted Love, I think it was called.
Ooh, yuck.
Yeah.
Once you've tasted love, you never give a blowjob
Yeah.
again.
I've still got it. I've still got that Take That picture disc, which I thought was Tackhead. Gutted.
Yes, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Gutted.
Anyway, that was
Retro Talk.
Retro Talk, which means it now must be time for, Dan, Hot Topic.
Hot Topic.
It's Hot Topic. Today's Hot Topic. We're gonna go deep. How deep? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll just see how deep it goes.
Righty-ho, today's Hot Topic, we're going to talk a little bit about management within the music business, or agents. Do you need an agent? What does an agent do? What does a manager do? When do you need one? Why do you need one? What do you pay them? All that stuff. So, for those that don't know, that's kind of my day job right now. I manage an artist, and that is the majority of my time, I would say. Probably 60-70% of my time I'm doing that. When I'm not doing that, I'm working in the studio. And I suppose because of that, I get to have a lot of conversations with other artists looking for management or asking management agent type questions. And it's I think it's probably one of those things that crops up fairly regularly.
I've got a question. Why are they all such arseholes?
Why?
Managers and agents. As a roadie, they're the people you avoid at all costs.
Yeah. I've tried to avoid being like that. The difference is I didn't aspire to be a manager. I don't come from that background. I was a sound engineer who ended up in a situation where an artist I'd worked for 20 years needed management. Their manager retired. I stepped in. It wasn't something I thought about or planned or worked up to. It just happened to be something that I thought I could do, and I've actually quite enjoyed it. But most of the time, if you're an up-and-coming artist, knowing when to get a manager is such a thing that's misunderstood, and so many people get in touch asking, or saying, I think I need a manager. And I think I was in that position at a certain age where I thought I needed a manager to get to the next stage.
You defined this though really well while we were having lunch, didn't you? If you said, if you need a manager, you will be approached by a manager.
A manager will find you. Yeah. I think that's probably the phrase I use the most, because I think it's true. If you're at that stage where the business side of your career is too much for you, you're at a stage where managers want you. They will come and find you, because that's how managers earn money. And managers don't necessarily really want to work with up and coming artists that don't earn any money, because you don't earn anything.
Yeah, exactly. 12% of fuck all is fuck all.
Well, this is the other thing. Managers, what do they earn? It's somewhere between 10% and 20%. And it's up to you and your artist to figure that out. And it depends how much you do. Sometimes you're a manager and you're an agent and you're an accountant, and you might be a PA as well. It depends how much of those things that they're doing you're doing as to whether that, what percentage you get. But unless they earn any money, you don't earn anything.
But so a manager's not going out there and selling the artist per se.
I think
they're just managing the deals as they come in.
Yeah, generally. I mean, obviously, I'm working with an established artist. I don't have to chase. I don't have to go looking for gigs. They come to us. I say yes or no. Record deals generally come in our direction, and I say yes or no. Sometimes we go after someone specific, maybe, but generally I'm dealing with stuff that's coming to me rather than going out looking for it. I think if you're managing a young, unsigned act, you would hope that you're established enough as a manager that people are going to want to talk to you about that. It does take a barrier out the way in that if, let's say, I'm working with a new artist who's got no track record, if they approach a label, they'd be lucky to get the time of day. If I approach a label on their behalf, they'll sit down with me and listen to what I've got to play.
Yeah, but that band's got to be pretty good, haven't they?
Yeah, of course, because it's my reputation.
Yeah, something to offer.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And that's the thing, is that whenever anyone asks me this stuff, I always go and have a look at their social media and stuff, and it's like, if you've got no followers on social media, if you haven't already put some stuff out there and got it to a certain level and you've developed a bit of an audience, why would a manager or a label be in the slightest bit interested? This isn't the 80s anymore. They're not going to take you from nothing and make you something.
There's no punting, is there?
No, they don't take any risks. If it's obvious you are on an upward trajectory, you're gaining an audience, you're getting better at what you do, your social media is banging, yeah, they'll step in and help. Of course they will. But at that stage, my advice a lot of the time would be, you don't need a label. You don't need a label anymore. You know, you can do it all yourself.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it does sort out that, you know, the players from the lazy people, because this is a job. You know, if you want to be in the music industry as an artist, you want to make music and you want to make a living from it. It's not an easy living. It's not that's one of those things you don't have to do much, you get paid millions. That ain't it. Honestly, any artist that I've ever worked with works their nuts off.
Yeah.
The successful ones are really working hard. It costs them a lot. It costs them their whole life and their time.
True.
And
that's true.
you know, that's it. It's a lot of work. But yeah, you know, and if you look at the other side of that, if you're a producer or an engineer and you think you need an agent to get you work, that doesn't work like that either. In the times when I've had an agent getting me, you know, not getting me work, they don't get you work. They do the deal for you. They might invoice for you. They might maybe suggest you to people, but realistically, you're going from job to job to job on word of mouth, or just because someone needs someone and you happen to be available. No one's handing you, you know, well-paid work that's going to be good for your career. That's just not a real thing.
That's not how it works.
Not really. Once you've got to the stage where if you do a mix which is a success for someone and it makes someone money, someone's going to come after you for another one. That's it. And it's, you know, you can get an agent if you want and they'll do the paperwork for you, but it's not going to make that more or less likely. It's just your own skills, ultimately.
So what you're saying, just give up, basically. Just give up.
No.
It's a hobby, not a job.
Be good at what you do. Be good at what you do, and all the stuff will come. You know, don't think I need that person. That person will go out there and make it happen for me, because that doesn't happen in any industry that I'm aware of.
No, it doesn't. Dead right.
Any input, Dan?
What, into management and agents? Just what we were discussing. You know, if you need a manager, they will find you.
Yeah.
If you're not making money already, it's unlikely that you need a manager.
Yeah.
You need to get out there and do it yourself, and then when stuff starts moving, that's when you pick up management.
Exactly that. And the acts you've worked with, have the managers been present? Not present?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, yes, I've been sacked by management.
We had a conversation about that in the pub. Yeah. He phoned me up.
Yeah, so they've been very present at certain times, and they do, you know. But you know, the good management, they understand that their side of side of things is the business.
Yeah,
they make the deals, they negotiate on behalf of their client, the artist. And they don't get too stuck into the stuff that you're doing in putting on a show or whatever, making a record or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting to see how these different interlocking parts sort of fit together.
Yeah. It's hiring the right people.
A&R next to pluggers, next to managers and agents and stuff.
Yeah.
And they all sound, I think, when you're not particularly experienced, they can all sound like very different, diverse roles.
Yeah.
But they're all that side that work with the business side of things.
True. Yeah, I think it's a bit like that film Layer Cake. I'll never forget that whole speech at the end about it's being a good middleman.
Yeah.
It's putting people together. Yeah. Find the right producers, engineers, find the right backline, find the right musicians, put everyone together, stay out of the way. We
were talking about you negotiating the record deal and making videos. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we might be talking about videos
next time, I think.
Next time. But you know, negotiating a record deal is saying, right, well, you need to pay for a plugger, you need to pay for this many videos. Your manager is the guy that is going to be negotiating the record contract. The other thing that sort of comes to life from all of this is that if there's no money coming in, there's no percentage to be taken. No, this is it. This is the interesting relationship between artist and management. Management's got to believe the artist has got the potential to earn some money. Artist has got to believe the manager can make the most of that opportunity. I believe you can take what I've got and make money for both of us. Yeah, and it's your job to negotiate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get the best deals and know when you're hot and push it, and maybe when you're not, do
do some stuff behind the scenes to make it all start to happen.
And again, talking to you, it's understanding your artist. You know, they make it, you're in charge of who they meet and who they don't meet, fan wise, or you know.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do stuff after the show with something we were just talking about. You know,
no, you got to protect your artist. Everyone wants to meet the artist. And at a show, especially, you know, you get 1,000 requests. Oh, can we come and say hello? You know, and there'll be promoters wanting to come and say hello, and other artists at the gig want to come and say hello. You know, and that's fine sometimes, but other times it's like, no, my artist is getting in the zone to do the gig.
Yeah,
they don't want to be disturbed because that will take them out of the zone. And other times it's like they're unwinding now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
exactly.
Like it's a big part of the job. It's also combined with tour management. Anyway, so protect your artist, look after them, put them in the best place to do the work they've got to do.
Exactly that. Does that bring us? You said, is that the finale?
I think that might be the finale. I think that was rounded up nicely.
I couldn't agree more,
Good.
Mr. Vincent.
Excellent, Mr. Peters.
So I like that,
Mr. Peters.
Try sir.
No, that's not good.
Too much, Doctor. Anyway, we love doing these longer format shows.
We do.
And it's great having a chat, and we'd really appreciate you making some comments and discussing things with you in the comment section. So please like the video.
And if you could follow the channel, subscribe to the channel, that'd be really handy. We have an Instagram, which is Studio Life 101. There's a Patreon, and there's a merch stand and all that other stuff, and it's all down there.
So buy our t-shirts, send us money, and subscribe to the Instagram, is what we're saying, isn't it?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
See you next time.
Sayonara.